This is Tonga, and you're listening to the Encouragers podcast.
Nice, Jake. You ain't modeling the gear.
I mean, I gotta rep my boy Tek. Rep my boys Tek with the skills. What's up, Tek?
What kind of hat is that, Tek?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Loud and clear.
What up?
Awesome. What's up,
bro?
We had enough of a break to all recover from our Texas trip. Hooey!
Sheesh. Anyone have a bowl in front of them? Mixing a bowl?
That is correct.
Oh, yeah.
Should we take a cup?
Yeah, let's take cups. Tek, how was your day, man?
Man, it's good, bro.
Did you get your workout in?
Yeah. Went up earlier today.
Nice.
That's why I was late, by the way.
It's all good, man. We know how we roll. Flexible, bro. We just roll with the punches. Full cups. I'm doing I did a Tek follow method here. 1 gallon to 1 full bag of kava, Offa's kava. Gotta get a shout out to
Offa's kava.
Shout out to Offa's kava.
Hope you don't have to work tomorrow.
I'm off tomorrow. Ooh, that is strong.
Delicious.
Man, I should add another thing of water to this, but gotta get straight to the point. Malo Offa's kava. We had some Offa's kava in Texas for our trip. It was good.
So good.
We're missing Tonga.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll
and any other surprise members we might get out of our core group.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, dude, our Texas trip was nice. I just now finished unpacking from that Texas trip.
Yeah.
No joke. Yeah, because my mic stand and everything was still in the bag. I just got it out just like 10 minutes before I finished following my kava.
Yeah, me too. I just came home, threw my bag on the bed, and that was it.
I know.
I just sat in the corner of my room till today.
Same here. Why is it always so hard after a trip to like unpack things? I don't know about you, but it takes me a couple. It took me from when we left Texas to now to finish unpacking. How long was that? Sheesh.
Well, almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah, this trip was different though because we almost didn't make it. We were all kind of fighting little head colds and sinus infections and whatnot, and so I think the energy expended to make it there, make everything happen, do everything we did in return was a little bit of a cost to our energy levels, probably. Well, that's the excuse I tell myself.
Yeah, well, that's what I told myself. Let's see here. How you do this? Need a watch. Can you guys hear me okay? Is my video coming clear to you guys or no?
Yeah.
All right. A special guest. We'll try to get the special guest on next time around. But
who's the special guest? Are we keeping it a secret?
No, it was an Olympic athlete. It was the Tongan flag bearer. The one
Pita?
that no, it's Malia Paseka, the female, who was actually the Tongan flag bearer, but she was the official one, right? and then Pita. Well, I think they were both wear during the Olympics, but I think she was the main one for the to hold the flag stuff. But she's in Australia, I believe, and we look forward to having her.
What time is it over there right now? What's that time difference?
It is Sydney. It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon over there.
Okay. Kind of in the middle of their workday, huh?
Yeah. Daytime. But yeah, so
Texas was fun though. We met a lot of good people.
yeah, it was good to see the support that Tonga had. Speaking of the devil, Lau itaha, asimaitaha.
Hello.
What's up, Tonga?
What's up, bro? I'm trying to figure out how to use my headset. Kataki.
Oh, I think you got to select it. But we've been
just plug it in.
Tonga, I went through a little bit of a cuss-ridden tirade a couple weeks ago, trying to get mine figured out.
All right, we're good.
Notice had to help me get it.
Can you guys hear me?
All sorted. Yep.
Okay,
Go
cool.
ahead.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
was frustrated too, Jake.
Oh, did you get it? Is this your headphones right here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Probably sounds terrible. I'm sorry.
No, it sounds good. Just sounds like you're in a huge room.
Oops.
No, we were just talking about our Texas trip. Let's just do a recap of our Texas trip. It's been 2 weeks, and Tek and I just revealed to everyone that we just finished unpacking from that trip. Just took
you
out.
too?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Why does it take forever? Like, why do some people, when they first get home, they unpack everything, and then some other people like me, it takes 2 weeks to unpack? What's the phenomena there, or what happens?
Man, I don't know. You probably just didn't want to unpack because it would have felt like the trip's over, you know?
I like that.
That's a
I
good
like
point.
it.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, we had
It's
a
like
jam
moving,
session.
you know what I mean? You move
Mhm.
and then you're like living out of boxes for like 2 weeks when you could really, really get everything unpacked in like a couple days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't developed that characteristic yet in my life, so I need to get to a point where you do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. The John Maxwell does. There's this talk by John Maxwell. I saw him in Vegas with Pate. We went down to Vegas for a retreat, like a leadership retreat or whatever. And he was doing this talk. It's like, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. Like telling yourself to get up and do stuff now. And I'm still not even to that point yet.
Bet you there's a biological reason why after like a huge expenditure of energy and emotion, and you travel back, it's like your body's telling you, our bodies don't know from like a couple hundred years ago when we're trying to like chase down animals and survive, right? So it's telling us to like rest and rest and conserve the energy. Maybe it's like something biological like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Excuses.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, for me, I went there with the full suitcase and I came home with nothing. All I had was my mic. All I had was my mic.
Malotech.
Shout out Troop 28 Clothing.
Troop 28 Clothing. Thank you so much. Jake's, if you're just listening, Jake just did he's just showing the merch that he's wearing that Tek created for us. And Tek brought, oh man, it was like Christmas every day. We had new merch on our in our hands, like every hour on the hour, every day.
I woke up like Christmas every day. Every morning there was a new piece of gear that I could wear, or a shirt or a hat, or it was awesome.
Man, did I tell you when I was doing that the K Nova event here in Reno? Dude, people were hella asking me about that shirt, the Tongan shirt, the Sila. The black and white, bro. They were like, "Hey, where'd you get your shirt?" I was like, "Hey, Troop 28. Follow us on IG. Follow on IG." Every manu to my sote, man. I was hella rolling, dude. Because it was cold in the venue, so I took it off. And right when I took off, bro, people were hella money. Hey, where'd you get a shirt? You got another one? You selling those? So yeah, go to Troop 28 Clothing on Instagram. Got
Heck
you.
yeah.
Hit us on the DM. But yeah, man, we had merch. We all had merch. Tonga got some merch. Tonga boy even got
I
some
was
merch.
blessed. Like the last day was like last day mojo.
Yeah, that was dope. We had such a good time, and it was good to see your family come out too, Tonga. Like you had several family members come out to come and enjoy.
Stickers.
Oh, not the stickers.
Yeah, man, I'm still overwhelmed with all the support. Like it was way more fun than the actual um the regular grand opening, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good, man. I was happy to walk into the shop and see everyone there, just family people just enjoying behind the counter, right? Enjoying the cars, the scene.
I know my cousin took a picture, or my little brother did, and at one point,
Hmm.
half of the people were behind the counter, which I thought was hilarious, dude. Because
Yeah.
everybody's just chilling, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Man, I wish we would have been smart enough to get a picture of a group picture in front of the card shop, like all of us there. I know you have some before, but
We had
it'd
way
have
too
been
much
dope.
fun. I know that for sure.
But not only that was the highlight of our trip, but we also were blessed enough to visit Gins. Now you guys got a taste of Gins. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, Jen's pork belly, beef belly.
Beef belly.
Mm.
It's next level, man. That's so like the concept itself is awesome. I've never been to a place where for everybody that's listening, we can kind of paint the picture, right? You walk inside and you have a
Mhm.
table, and the grill is in the middle of the table. So and so you can kind of sit down around it, and then you cook your food right in the middle of the table. And so we were having, the pork belly, which was so good, so good.
Yeah, Korean restaurant joint in Arlington, Dallas area. If you guys are ever visiting that area, be sure to stop by Jin's. This is not a paid promotion either, but man, that place is Jin's. If you're listening, we're gonna tag you on this. Off the hook, one of my, we've been to several different Korean barbecue joints, right, Tech, through our life, living in New
Yeah.
York, having roommates from Asia and people, visiting Flushing. Tech could take you to Flushing, Queens, and give you a tour of all the dopest spots to go eat at. And he's had his fair share of Korean joints and Korean barbecues, and also in Midtown, Korea, K-Town in Manhattan. We've been to several different ones, but I think that was one of the best ones I've ever been to that I've actually enjoyed, the way they have it set up. So you got the traditional style Korean going on, but then you got a buffet of meats over onto the to like the serving area where you can go and pick out all sorts of different types of meats and sauces and get you it's like a la carte, right? A la carte style. You can help
Yep.
yourself, get as much as you
You-
want. It's all you can eat.
And the
Unique
food's
choices
good.
too.
Yeah, it's not like
The food's
cheap.
good. Like it's flavorful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you go to some places and it's just like the same everywhere. Everything's
yeah.
seasoned the same. Like it's always the teriyaki taste, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that's why I enjoy the beef belly so much.
Oh
Because it's
man.
not seasoned, not marinated.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you really get to taste the meat, but more importantly, the belly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's if any of you who are listening are familiar with Yoshinoya's, you know how they have those beef bowls. It's almost, I think that's the what you're getting, right?
Yeah.
Is beef belly. So
Minus
Matt,
that, the show you who that they make.
yeah, this one's way better. But yeah, shout out to Jins for hosting us. There's like what 30 of us there,
Chins
30
Yeah.
us and change.
I think
close to, yeah.
I think what I liked about that place is that's different from other places is the buffet. You can go get, most Korean barbecue places you got to order meat, but this place you can go get raw meat just from the bar and bring it back to your table and cook.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
something
that's a good
different.
thing, I think, because you're not waiting. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
yeah,
And more got full off of sides the first time we went
yeah. The first time,
there.
because I went down to visit Tonga for training. Well, this is last maybe August, right? When I first started at the company,
Yeah.
the airline company. Yeah, and Tonga took me there, and I messed up because I seen all because they got these special chicken wings that's off the hook. I can't remember what they're called, but
Yeah.
all the different size that you can get. Oh, I filled myself up too much. But the next time I came, did I have another training? Did I come
Oh
there?
no, then yeah, you came down for ops training, and
Oh yeah,
I think we filled our, what would you guys say? It's about 12 by 12, a
yeah.
perfect square or a little
Mhm.
bit bigger.
The grill.
Notice and I filled that up maybe 4 times. Like literally, it was cooked meat was like above the
Yeah,
thing. It was wild.
yeah. So
I'm sure they took pictures of us in the back
they
saying,
probably
"Oh
had
my
us on
gosh."
camera. Yeah, they were like, "Who are these
Yeah, they
two?"
were like, "These two guys just smashed the whole cow."
It was so good,
For
man.
real.
Really good.
No, but I didn't get to say anything that night, but I do appreciate you guys for sacrificing work hours and time and money to come out to celebrate that special moment for me. I wouldn't change it for the world the way it happened organically, like we all just discussed it, and the way it happened was just like it couldn't have happened any better. So I appreciate. Shout out to my encourager brothers, the rest of my family for coming out, man. It really truly made my year, 100%.
Yeah, it was
Tonga,
dope.
real talk, man. It wasn't for at least for me. It was not a sacrifice, man. It was so much fun. It was, it was a great vacation. I can't wait till we do the next one. It was just,
Yeah.
it was that much fun.
And
I
this
wish we
showed
were
everybody
already
that we could do little get-togethers like that.
right.
Yeah, just gotta be super intentional with it and then plan because we've been
Like
talking
that.
about this since what, before Christmas.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We talked about it so much that it happened. You know what I mean?
Spoke it into existence.
100%. We put it out into the universe, and the universe accepted it, and we accepted the universe that weekend.
Yeah,
I
it was
like it.
good. And it was just better to be in person too, just to talk and vibe with each other live, like in the room with each other. It's a different dynamic when you're
I
present with
agree.
someone, as opposed to, I mean, now is cool, but I'm just looking at a screen with you guys, but I like to, see your body emotions and your body language and see how we can, go from there and communicate that way. Cause there's different, body language plays a big effect into how the dynamic of a show and how you can talk and correspond and interact with
It
each other.
does, man. 100%.
And not only that, but we had a nice little jam session,
Oh, that
from
was
start.
good.
If you haven't already looked at our jam session, there's just a clip of it on our YouTube channel and also on IG that we posted.
Yeah. Just
Unrehearsed.
hit the like and hit
Unrehearsed
the
too.
subscribe, hit the
Imagine
bell
if we
to
had
be
some time to
notified every
practice
time we
that.
have a new episode.
Was that,
I
Jake?
know, right?
Imagine if we had a little time to practice. Shout out to Brian for really making that happen though. Because he was the lead vocals, the lead uke player. That was all because of him. So definitely he made that happen for us.
Yeah, it was good, man. It's good to have Brian, and we actually discussed having Brian on more for our like little shorter segments of our podcast where we can talk about a different stock market tips and stuff with him. So be sure to tune in. We'll have like different. Hopefully, we can have some episodes with him and talk about stock options and stuff like that. But yeah, man, that was a great trip, one to remember for the books. Hopefully, we can have one later on this year too, and where we can get all the encouragers, all 7 of us together in one spot, having a nice little
I
mix
heard
session.
there's something going down in Reno in August.
Yeah, that's a private event only. We won't discuss that here, but yeah, but yeah,
Invite
other
only.
encouragers, our chat line, our text group knows about it, but yeah,
I must have
definitely.
missed it.
Oh, yeah, August 27th, special occasion, invite only. If you get a DM from me, then you're invited. If not, please just don't come. No, just kidding.
So
I'm just playing.
Australia, get ready.
Yeah, shout out to our Australia listeners. Thank you for tuning in again. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Tek, right, Tek?
That's right. Thank you.
Oh, yes. How was everyone's day today, man? Today was a nice weather out here. How about in Texas?
It was good. It's starting to warm up a lot. compared to the weekend that we had.
The frozen.
Just to give you guys some background, there was a crazy ice storm in Texas, and our part of Texas was pretty much closed Thursday and Friday. Shop was closed, post office, most banks, everything was closed, just because of the drastic weather. So it was great weather today. Got a lot done at the shop. Today's kind of my catch-up day, so other than that, it was great.
Tonga, tell us why it's like so, there might be some people in Utah or Idaho or California or Nevada that they have a lot of snow, they get ice, they're rolling their eyes. Maybe why is it different in Texas?
I noticed that a lot. Even when I posted about it on Facebook, I kind of use Facebook like Twitter, like updates by the second. But anyways, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you guys didn't even get a foot of snow or whatever." It's because we're not used to it. It's not Texans, and Texas is not made for the snow. Like, for example, I grew up in Arizona. Arizona, it's gotten as hot as 120. And when I hear that Chicago had a heat wave at like 95 degrees, I'm like, what? What's a heat wave? Like, same thing, same concept. So the people just aren't used to it. It's not a normal thing. So that's why Texas shuts down. Most of the freeways are closed for 3 full days just because people don't know how to drive the snow. And for those of you that live in those areas, like Jake was mentioning, Salt Lake, Idaho, Reno, you guys can pick out of a crowd who has never driven in the snow. You know what I mean? So that's why. Great question, Jake.
So kind of similar situation over here in Wilmington, North Carolina. There's only one snowplow for the whole city here. And there's like 70, 80,000 people here. And then the metro, 100,000 plus. So you can imagine the freakouts that happen. Nobody knows how to drive in it. And we don't have the resources or the equipment to, so it's like similar, situation there. Of course, we're a much smaller city than what you have over there, but everything shuts down here.
That's wild. Reno's kind of almost the same. They don't really do a good job out here. Well, as of recently with snow removal and stuff. We get all the seasons out here in Reno. But yeah, then it snows out here. We got Lake Tahoe, Squaw Valley, nearby. A lot of good snow skiing and snowboarding out here. But it always seems like here in the city area that like it takes forever for them to come out and plow and stuff. So yeah, but that snowstorm or that weather pattern over there in Texas affected everybody across the country. If you were traveling, a lot of cancellations.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Across the board.
Here
I can't remember who said it. Oh, go ahead, Tech. My bad.
Here in Salt Lake, we've been having a lot of earthquakes. Just little earthquakes going around here.
Really?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Like recently?
Recently, I was at my brother's house on Sunday, and his in-laws were telling me that they felt earthquake that morning.
Is there a big fault line out there?
Yeah, there actually, I believe there is.
Really?
They shut down the Mormon temple to rebuild it, to restructure it so it can last during the earthquake.
Ah.
So really? I never knew the reason why. So that's the reason why, huh?
Yeah. So just tells you what they're preparing for. But recently, from what I hear, there have been little earthquakes here and there in Salt Lake.
Interesting.
That's wild.
Elon Musk isn't boring tunnels over there, is he? In your city? Is he?
I don't know. I live north of Salt Lake, so I don't know. I don't feel any of it.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just the area where Coach lives is a lot of activity going down.
Lots of rumble.
Lots of rumble in the trouble in the rumble. Trouble in the city. Yeah, just everywhere. There's a lot of different patterns, like storms going around, earthquakes, volcanoes. Just recently, what happened with that eruption in Tonga? That's crazy.
The eruption.
Oh yeah, the eruption / explosion. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not go down there. But yeah, the eruption in that volcano underground volcano eruption affected all the way towards like Alaska. They could hear the eruption, and then all the way to Florida, they felt the different barometric pressure change.
That's wild.
Just one volcano, right? That's just one. Imagine if we had like one or two or three of those bad boys go off.
What about Yellowstone?
Tonga would be underwater. You know what I mean?
And that's
Yeah.
why I started going to church.
Oh yes.
Excuse me.
Too
Shout
many
out to the
signs,
Foyer
man.
gang.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy,
It's a
man.
good-
All these different weather patterns.
Yeah. It's a good point though, Tech, too, in joke, but you never know how much, again, so that's why I'm so glad that we got out to Texas and taking advantage of the time we have. You never know when your clock's going to run out. Not to turn anything negative here, but this is all positive, but take advantage of each day because who knows what's going to happen, right? So it's interesting that Randall Carlson just came on the Joe Rogan podcast again. And, for those of our listeners that don't know what he talks about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, there were some pretty big impacts from some asteroids. And he's fascinated. Randall Carlson's fascinated. He has a lot of evidence and proof about just kind of what drastically happened. We were in an ice age. The ice age ended, back and forth. So it's just, kind of, he kind of goes over some, just some of those things that can, you just never know what can happen, right? So I highly recommend, if you haven't listened, he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast probably like 4 or 5 times. So
Shout out Joe Rogan.
yeah, for real.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Yeah, cataclysmic events. That's a good. I haven't listened to that one. I'm gonna try to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, Randall
Still tripping
Carlson.
out about that episode. Go ahead.
Which one?
Go ahead, Tonga.
The one about the Amazon. How they believe there were like millions and millions and millions and millions of people in the Amazon, and they were killed off when Spanish conquistadors and European explorers visited. After they visited the first time or the second time, they went back. I want to say, what do they say, 20 to 40 years later, whatever like that.
Mhm.
There was like nothing, just the local tribes that you see. But at one point in time, there were millions of people. There was like a full, like cities, buildings everywhere. And now they're just right back to like living in the sticks, like not even the sticks, but like, yeah.
Reset.
Yeah, exactly. That episode, I forgot who he had on that episode, but
Was that Graham
dude,
Hancock?
It might have been, but I was tripping out when I saw that episode.
The first episode I seen of Joe Rogan was when he was talking with that one director and the dude that worked at S4 or Area 51. I forget the
Bob
names.
Lazar.
Bob Lazar. That was when I was researching about podcasts, when we were trying to start our podcast, I went to Joe Rogan's because he has the most popular podcast out there. I just happened to click on. I was like, "What? What is he talking about? Aliens?" And that was it, bro. I was hooked.
That was a wild episode. I highly recommend you listen to that one. It's just fun, right? Like, even if it's not true, whatever, it's a fun thought experiment. Just listening to what this guy lived through, or what he, I believe I believe he at least believes he's telling the truth, Bob Lazar. So it's just an interesting listen for sure.
Yeah, it was. But what was I trying to make a point? I was trying to Joe Rogan, understanding or trying to find out how we do podcasts. I switched over to that dude's YouTube channel and try to learn. But man, after that one episode, I was hooked. Like he starts talking about all these other things, and now we look at the current climate situation of events. Now, sheesh, the guy is trying to be canceled, along with a lot of other people who, like The Rock, for example, that's going on. All these things are coming out about that dude, and it's crazy if you think about it. People are trying to be silenced for just speaking their mind, right? Just having conversations with people, and he's trying to be canceled, and people associated with him are trying to be canceled. I think there's a bigger thing that's going on right now with attack on our freedom of speech, and which is something that I think we should always, or kindly take note of, or else we might lose it. I mean, our podcast is we encourage free thought and free speech and stuff like this. So, um, my point is, I'm not sure what my point is. I'll probably edit this part out.
No, keep the point going. I like it because
Yeah.
I think part of the original, if you just think about it now, how like mixing has evolved, right? But mixing was kind of like the original podcast, because you have like a single person, everybody's sitting in a circle, there's usually like one topic of conversation, and when somebody gets a little butt hurt from like an opinion they don't like, what do we say at the mix? Get over yourself, so we have, a great place to figure out how to be able to have to hear an opinion different from yours, but still, not lose your cool.
Yeah, and I think I don't really necessarily agree with everything that he or people that come on there. It's good to listen to, It's good to listen to different points of view. I mean, some people, I don't know why they can't just listen and take what they want and leave what they don't want. I don't know why they necessarily have to do this unless there's a concerted effort to actually try to demonize this person and what he's talking about on his podcast. I hope we don't get to that point where people are trying to cancel us for being encouragers, Or
Sharing the truth,
right. There's got to be a psychological, me talking about biology earlier, but I wonder if there's something wired in our brain where our lives get so easy compared to our ancestors that we create these tribal entities where we take sides. And with social media and our lives have changed a lot, in this generation and in the previous, being exposed to like so much, we've been exposed to so much information and addictive potential through some of the social media apps, just trying to adjust as a society to all this new information. And and also how that plays into how we're programmed, how our DNA is programmed, how our biology is programmed. I think it's just everybody's just trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I like that.
And social media is loud, it can be loud. I mean, you see all these and it's calculated by likes and retweets on on Twitter, also on Instagram and Facebook. So it can be loud in that way, which can sometimes be misleading. Like so many likes equals something, or if you retweet something into your opinion or something. But
Yeah, I noticed that a lot. People, it's wild. It blows my mind that it's like that. It shouldn't have to be like that.
yeah, I like social media for the fact that you can learn something new. That's why I like it. Because if on Twitter right now, if you go on Twitter, if you those of you with a Twitter account, you can go on there and you can follow certain subjects that you want. Like I follow space and tech news. Also, I look at EV cars. I follow that section too. So I haven't been seeing too much negativity unless I, type in the search bar. Um, but I like social media for that reason too. You can learn new innovative things through those different platforms. But when you get to
That's good to say that. I like the way you said that. Like, if you're looking for bad and you're searching for bad,
Mhm.
you will find bad. You know what I mean? I like that you put it like that. That there's other that you're using social media for the knowledge aspect instead of the latest haps. You know what I mean? Because if it goes right back to what we're saying, if you're looking for bad, you're gonna find bad. And that just doesn't have to do with social media. That's in life, period. You know what I mean? If you're looking for the good, you're gonna always find the good. Yeah, you'll find bad, but 9 times out of 10, you'll find good because those are your intentions, is to find good. So I think
yeah.
if we all just, as a society,
Mhm.
didn't go on to social media for the latest haps, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm not saying that I'm I'm clean of it, but more often than not, I'm on there to educate myself. whether it be in the card community or I'll see something in our chat, then I'll just go find like a group or something like wholesaling or whatever the case may be, because there's a lot of good groups in there with a lot of free information, credit, all that stuff. So I like that statement. Notice.
Tech,
Yeah.
why do you? Could you mention you don't really like social media and you kind of stay away from it? Is that kind of one of the big reasons why?
Yeah, well, when I lived in New York, I was big on social media. I had a Twitter, Facebook, everything, Instagram. But then it just got to a point that I didn't see. It was just I seen a lot more negative stuff than positive, and also it took a lot of my time that I could have been doing something else. So I just stayed away from it. I guess I just gotta find the medium point between, the balance between social media and personal life, because I could get lost in it. Like for YouTube, I'd go on there to search how to start a company, and I wouldn't know how to start a company, but I could tell you all about liposuction.
Yeah. That's so true, bro.
Oh, took a
It
deep
requires
hold.
discipline now to be on social media, right? Like Notice was saying, you have to curate your account and click on the things that are positive and interest you instead of the other things. You got to stay out of the comments too, because you'll see like a cesspool of humanity down in there, whether it's a bot or maybe somebody having a bad day or whatever, because they can comment and just leave it. So maybe they're not so angry all the time, but had an angry moment, left it there, and it's there now. And so if you're not having a good day, you don't jump down that rabbit hole of comments. We bring up Joe Rogan a lot, but yeah, Joe's like, I just don't read the comments.
Yeah.
Probably pretty healthy, for that one. But you can also curate it and have some discipline and maybe set time limits for yourself. I think I've caught myself mindlessly scrolling on Instagram or other things, and I've got to have some discipline to kind of like unplug myself. There's better, unless I'm like learning something. I really like to learn, like Notice. I like things about space, like science. I like all that kind of stuff. But I can get caught up in it. So it's important to have some discipline, be able to pull yourself out of that.
Exactly, because I'd find myself, it'd be like 5 o'clock in the afternoon scrolling on whatever social media platform. Next thing you know, it's like 3 a.m.
For real.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, lose track of time.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember,
and it's
Tech,
easy. It's
you and-
easy to lose track of time.
Very.
Yeah. You and Notice in New York helped me start my first Twitter account. One of the times I was coming out to visit you guys, you both I didn't know what it was, and you guys both introduced me to Twitter way back in the day.
Back in the day, we used Twitter to tell people where we were going for
Yeah.
having lunch.
It's like
It's
a
like,
status update.
Yeah, it was like a status update, but we would at ourselves, like at Notice 777 is going to, La Bakery down the street. Meet me here if you want a free bakery or something. That's how we used to tweet back in the day. It was like we
Nobody was
added
on the
ourselves.
feed back then.
Yeah. It was so wild. Like it's so different now how everything's changed.
Music too. It was like mute. At least that's what I was looking at. That I was seeing what songs you guys were listening to, and then trying to find the new jams.
Yeah, I originally got on Twitter because I was following Ryan Leslie. Remember him? Ryan Leslie?
Mr. Gibberish.
Yeah, gibberish. He was on he was the one person I was following that always would tweet where he was going, and I would, like when we were in New York, I would try to follow him and see where he would be, because he would always do pop-up free concerts around the city. So that's what got me started onto getting on Twitter. Now it's a totally different thing. But you got The Rock trying to apologize to people on Twitter. I mean, like, why don't you guys just call these people, right? Like, people are
For real.
attacking. Like, just call the person up. Like,
Have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you ain't got to show that everyone that you responded to, or just why don't you have a videographer following you everywhere you go? Why don't you just call the person and have you videotape and then post it on, like, stuff like that? Like, a lot of people communicate through social media, like how The Rock was apologizing to all these different people, like in real life. Like, instead of calling people up, they tweet at them or something. It's just so funny. But a lot of, I don't know. The reason why I use Twitter is to gain information. on like all of the space ventures that are going on, and also to look at kids use Twitter mainly, and college coaches use Twitter to promote their film, to get scholarships or to get looks, right? So there's a positive platform for kids to try to get free scholarships, or not free scholarship, but get free school paid for through Twitter. They post their huddle films on there, and hopefully they tag different coaches, and those coaches can see their film and offer them scholarships in the DMs, man. So a lot of positivity still goes on through Twitter. We just, like Thong was saying, you got to be intentional about it, and you got to find and look for that positivity, as opposed to all the other negative things that be going down over there. So
Yeah,
if you,
I know with Camp Alpha with Coach,
mhm,
that's one thing we kind of train the kids on doing, is how to handle their social media platform, because
mhm,
that reflects on how the coach will look at them,
mhm,
if
Mhm.
and also their name. You got to choose it. You got to use your name. You don't want to be like at sexy daddy your mom 420. You don't want to use that for scouts to look at. So there's different approaches that we teach these kids to do in their social media.
By the way, that's my main account right there that Tech just
I knew it. I
At
knew it, Tech.
just kidding, guys.
A good example of that. I remember when I was with Ale, when we went and talked with Coach Saban, when we transferred from UW to Alabama, and one of the awesome things that Saban told Ale, he was talking straight to Ale the whole time. He said, we're here to help you develop your personal brand. That's all we're here to do, to help you develop your personal brand so that you can go off and be successful after the game of football. And I thought that was one of the best best things he ever said to Ale. It was like, that whole institution, that whole Alabama football program is designed so that each one of those players can help develop their own personal brand. If you look at how Alabama produces and pushes their athletes, they push them like they're stars, like they're professional athletes. And that's one thing you can take away from this topic, is that use social media to your advantage to push your personal brand, to help you excel rather than, you know, help you be lost in the weeds.
Notice, who would you say is, so for these kids that maybe might be listening, or parents that have kids, who's a good example of that and who's a bad example of that?
I don't know. I think the kids are they're catching on to how to use social media for their advantage. You know, I think they see all these other kids. They don't want to be a part of that. But I think I don't know. I don't have anyone specific that does a good job. I know Shaq's all over social media now. Like, if you want to find viral videos, you go to Shaq's IG account and he posts all over his stories. But can't think
I'd
of
say
anyone.
LeBron probably too did a pretty good job of his branding, and
Mm,
stayed, regardless of how you view him as a player, he's been very professional. He treated people professionally. He's got his opinions, all over the place, but for being in the limelight since he was in high school, he was somebody that represented his brand and his mom and his family. I'd say, one of the best out there.
okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't really it, like really noticed it too much. Come to think of it, but yeah, use social media sites and platforms to develop a brand. I mean, if you look at a lot of these companies, even us ourselves, we're trying to develop a brand, right? But here's my question: what would happen if those platforms were missing today? Were gone? They're canceled, like IG. How would we interact with our listeners, and how would we get our message out if it wasn't for these platforms?
Man, that's what scares me because most of my business is on social media. I don't know if you guys remember when social media went out for a little, it was out for like a day. I think Facebook and Instagram. It's like I didn't know what to do with myself. So to answer that question, it's scary. I have no idea what we would do.
I see some people sharing their phone numbers. Like, there's these phone things that you can do now. Like, I see, for example, Gary Vee, he shares his cell phone number, and there's like I don't know, some kind of a platform where you can interact with him via that text message, via text. So I think that might be like an idea to develop or implement into someone's business. How you can, because you gather information, right? You need information, so like emails and phone numbers, mobile numbers, text. I think that's a good way or something to implement for your business. Like direct texting, direct contact via text messages and emails. I think that's another way.
Is it direct texting or is it just like you get a bot on the other end?
I know for like there's this one guy, RJ Pino. He's a wholesaler, real estate guy. I know he interacts with because when I send him text message, he responds back. So they see the text messages. It's just a matter of like when they want to respond to it.
Mm.
So it's an actual thing that they use. I know when I was working with Jamal King, the who was it? What is he called? 9 to 5 Millionaire. Look up his real estate program. It's all over IG, the internet. He runs a Jamal King. He runs a real estate program called 9 to 5 million, or it's called what is it called? Yeah, 9 to 5 millionaire. 9 to 5 millionaire. I think that's shoot. I forget the name of the program, but look him up. And he uses that service, the text message service, to keep in contact with all his followers. So if he's trying to share something, he'll text it out first, and then he'll text a link to it, and you can see the video. So I think that's maybe another thing to look into, Tonga, and even us. We should start using that because if Facebook or Instagram went down,
Smart.
we would be who? How would we get a hold of our listeners? How would they know unless they're already connected into that text message and email thread? Not sure what the cost is for that program or that platform, but be something to look into.
Yeah, I need to because that was a scare. I think I had a breakup, so I had no idea what to do. I couldn't update anything.
You could have a website, right?
Oh yeah, the website. Oh, you have a
Website.
website though.
Yep, I got the website, but man, there's a lot of stuff I keep putting in the back burner. It should already be like I should always just run business off there. A lot of breakers on Facebook do that. Is they're running everything off the website just in case
Mm.
Facebook and IG goes out again. Because it was wild, bro. A lot of people lost business. You know what I mean?
Millions of dollars were lost that one
Yeah.
like 6 hours or whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
do you think a breakup of the monopoly of like the few social medias out there, do you think that's inevitable? Do you think there's going to be a lot more competition on a lot more platforms?
The way things are going now with everyone trying to be canceled, yeah. Because you see that offer from Rumble. Is it Rumble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They offered Joe Rogan to move his
100 million.
podcast over $100 million, man,
Yeah.
to a platform that doesn't what is it? Doesn't censor you, right?
Yep.
It's why I think so. Like the way that Facebook is moving, you see what they're trying to get into. They're trying to get into the metaverse. So who knows, man?
Because Facebook is, there was I don't know if you saw in the news, right? There was a huge drop in their share price. And, there's a report out, where they're not increasing in members anymore. And so, you kind of saw, their share price dropped quite a bit. It went down probably, I think it was around 320. I think it dropped down into like the, 270, 260, which for, a big company like them, like that, with how much money's in it, you don't typically see a share price drop much at all. It's very slow up or down. So it was pretty drastic. When and I believe the UK is also suing Facebook as well. So you had like those two things come out at once that caused that share price to drop down. But you used to think about it like, how often are you on Facebook anymore? How often are the young kids on Facebook?
Not often. I
Mostly-
know I go
yeah.
on there just to sell cards or buy cards.
So
Mhm.
But
businesses, is that all that's left now?
other than that, I don't do nothing else.
Then you got the older people who just recently discovered that they can do live they could do liveys on the Facebook and develop a following that way. So I think it's more the older generation,
Mhm.
like people our age who grew up with when Facebook first started. I think they're leaving Facebook or staying on Facebook just to be in contact with friends and family.
Yeah.
I haven't had the Facebook app, just me personally, for I'd say 4 years now. I haven't had the app. I still have my account, because you connected to my family, and there's still people I care about. So I still like that aspect of it, but I am rarely on it, and I don't have the app. I don't have the Facebook Messenger anymore. So I just wonder how many others are there like me. I'm in my 40s, right? So are how many similar around my age group are just now migrating off of that platform.
I remember when Facebook, you had to have a .edu email to join Facebook.
Yeah, I remember that too. I see the one that showed me.
Yeah, you had to have an email from a college or something to join it, and then they changed their platform and went global with it. Wanted everyone to join, but yeah, kids don't know that you had to have a .edu email to join Facebook back in the days.
Excuse me. I know, right? We were all using fake names on MySpace.
Yeah.
Well, it
Oh,
was
man.
created for students to communicate with their professors
Yep.
Yeah.
at that time.
Mm-hmm. And then what Zuckerberg stole it from the Winklevoss twins, right? And he made hella money.
Just like McDonald's, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I tell people I don't have a Facebook just because I only use it for cards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's beneficial because a lot of business are on Facebook. A lot of
Yeah.
people I use Facebook Marketplace like every week almost.
Same here.
Yeah, so it's good for that aspect. It's good for a lot of things. There's a lot of Facebook implemented that like that if there was a disaster or something, you could check in on your Facebook and let everyone know that you're safe, type of thing.
Yeah.
Some positive things for that.
Hey, so when you use Facebook Marketplace, do you I have a trouble buying from people that got it shipped to me?
Oh,
Do you
I
guys
never
do
do
you
that.
guys buy local or do you?
Local only for me.
Yeah, local only. I've only done local tech.
Oh, okay.
Or I ask
Yeah.
them if they have an eBay or some other way. You know what I mean? Because you'll find a lot of people, they'll double post. They'll have stuff on Facebook Marketplace and stuff on eBay. Same stuff.
Yeah, yep, they do that. I noticed that.
I was gonna buy some stuff the other day on Facebook Marketplace, but I didn't want it to get shipped. I wanted to meet somebody to get it from them personally.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Here with Grizzly. Grizzly, say hi to everybody.
What's up, Grizzly?
Grizzly Bear. Sorry. But yeah, some wild things going on. So we've been talking about a new challenge for us starting up a new workout challenge. How have you guys been with that? How are we doing?
I'm in week
Crickets.
2. Week 2.
Week 2.
Week 2, day 1.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jake.
Yeah. I just need it for my mental health. I need it. I love it too. So it gives me, the rigors of, a stressful day and jobs and all this other stuff. It's just a stress relief for me. So, I definitely need it in my life. And so I love that, when we do it together, it encourages, when I see you guys working out, of course, and, when we're in it together and I know we're all going for it, it motivates me. When you guys post your own videos, when you tell me that, hey, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to the workout, I'm like, man, I can't slip up now. And I'm not in a competition with you. I'm like with you, but I like, the camaraderie of doing it together and just knowing that we're all kind of in it together. That's very motivating to me.
Why how is that? How is it that it's a lot easier to be with have a partner to accomplish a task than to do it individually? What is the thing that separates us from doing it individually as opposed to making it easier having someone with us?
It's a
That's
great
a good
question.
question.
You guys ever thought about that? Like I've thought about that, and I've heard someone give a talk about that. It was a Navy SEAL. I had a chance to sit in on a talk where this Navy SEAL was talking about suffering. He was talking about football. He was talking to a bunch of football athletes for their summer camp, and he was saying that the whole idea of having a summer camp or a football camp in the summer is for the brotherhood to suffer together. Kind of like how the
Ah,
SEALs, they go through rigorous training, and a lot of their training is designed to weed out people, right? The Navy SEALs training, BUDS program. And he's saying that that BUDS program is developed and designed so that you can suffer with your brother together. Because those who suffer together end up, they're unstoppable, basically, was what he was saying. So
Who's gonna carry the boats?
David Goggins is going to carry boats, and I don't mind watching him carry the boats. But yeah, suffering together, man, it creates a bond that cannot be broken. So after you completed your buzz training, he was saying like your bond with that guy next to you will last for a lifetime. Like you will never break or whatever. So suffering is a principle of life. And if you have more people that you can suffer together, you can accomplish great things. Is what he was saying.
Maybe that's why we're meant to accomplish great things together. Because those days when it's 7 in the morning and someone says, "It's up to you," we all suffer together.
Uh, but the
It is a
question is
suffering.
why?
And look how far
Why is
along.
it?
And look at now, like how far along our brotherhood has lasted. Look at all these years, 15 plus, almost 20 years of friendship.
Dude,
Because we
that's wild.
suffered through the bowl. We suffered together in the bowl,
All because
right?
it was up to you.
Drinking the bitter
But why
cup.
is it up to you? Why shouldn't it be up to you, to us?
And you get that one nonchalant person that says who's sitting in the corner, a quarter? You want a quarter? Should we mix a quarter? Just a quarter. Oh man.
If anyone listening is really confused, this is referring to drinking kava late into the night, and we get kind of full.
Oh
Our stomach
man.
get full. So just to kind of clarify, it's not a bowl of something else, but it's a bowl of kava, and yeah, there's something to be said to that. And I wonder too. I was talking about like biology. I wonder if like as we banded together to like hunt down animals, for example,
Mm.
Maybe there was
Come
some
on.
sort of, it was easier as a group, right, to accomplish the goal. So somebody sneaking around, think of wolves, right? They hunt as a pack. So I wonder, at some point at
Yeah,
some
no, you're
point
right.
at some point, there was dopamine released in our brains as we banded together, or we survived because as a group we were hunting down animals. It's not that long ago we were there, right? It's only a couple hundred years ago that
Mhm.
we had to hunt to every day, or every depending on how big the animal maybe our ancestors got, but that we needed that, so that group, that team effort really played out in survival.
That's true. And kind of like to piggyback off of that
Excuse me.
idea, did you realize our diets back in the day contained little to no sugar? You guys realize that
Yeah,
our diets back in the days, like we didn't have processed foods or processed sugars. So those people, like our ancestors, they lived off of minimal food, but yet they had great physique and great health. And look
Live
at
off
us
the
now.
land.
Yeah, they lived off the land. They didn't have very many sweets, and sugar back then was, well, if we don't know that sugar was like made a process in India back in the day. Like they were India was one of the first people to cultivate sugar as they found the means to create sugar and ship it and make it in the crystallized form that we enjoy today. And it wasn't because it was through the Crusades back then, in the days when Christianity was spreading its Christianity stuff, that they discovered sugar and brought it back to Europe. Sugar from India and brought it back to Europe. And so,
Is it sugar cane?
yeah, it was, yeah, sugar cane. Yep, sugar cane was pressed and cultivated and then evaporated, created into crystals. And when the Crusade people came down, the Christians came down to India and those southern parts, they brought sugar back with them to Europe. And then sugar, not many people know, was mostly for upper class people, like the people that had money, was usually the people that had the luxuries of having sugar. And now we see that sugar is prevalent in our culture today. Like Valentine's is coming up. How much sugar is involved in all those chocolates and sweets? There's not one holiday that doesn't involve having sugar. Right?
Sugar.
Sugar is a huge commodity, huge billion-dollar business. And I didn't know this, but sugar was one of the 12 original stocks that was traded back in the day. They were one of the 12 companies, American Sugar, I think it was called. They were one of the top 12 stocks that was traded back in the Dow when the stock market first started. So that's interesting how now our diets are consumed or overconsumed. They say the average American eats about 80 pounds of sugar on average. 80
Golly.
pounds of sugar a year. That's on average, because you've got to admit that's an average, right?
Wow.
So some people consume 150 pounds a year. Some people, 5 pounds a year. So that's an average between how much sugar we consume. I was listening to what's his name? Sean Stevens talk about sugar, and that's how I just blown away by all the statistics and how heavily our diets are consumed around sugar and
And
carbohydrates.
it's getting worse too, because check this out. So I'm on the CDC website right now, Notice, and so it said, so from 1999 to 2000 to 2017 to 2018, obesity was so we were at 30% of the US was obese. It went to 42.4%. So it increased by about 12% over those almost 20 years or so.
Yep.
So we're getting worse. I think you go back each 20 years. I think you probably have. I was trying to find, I was trying to find those stats as well. But I bet I wonder how far we have to go back before obesity in the U.S. is no different than the rest of the world.
Jeez, I don't know.
Dude, that's wild.
Well, you could just think about 20 years ago when you go to the 7-Eleven, how large was the large drinks compared to the large now?
Wow.
That's
That's
true, Tech.
from 20 years till now. That's a big difference. Large that back then was probably a 16 ounce. Large now is probably like a 64, 62.
64.
Yeah.
I know actually at Circle K they have one of those thermos things, and it's like 110. 110, because my big bro used to drive bus and he used to just fill it up all the time. 110 ounces from Circle K. Money.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea of how much sugar we consume in the last 20 years, how it's grown.
Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of people didn't know, but like the sugar trade, it supported slave trade, because a lot of people were going to started sugar plantations. They needed workers, and who did they go get? They got people from Africa and all different parts of the world to go work those sugar plantations to create the sugar, man. So it is just a wild thing, because now our whole diet is consisted of sugar. And if we can change up how we consume and think about food, it'll help encourage us to live healthier lives, right? So we can limit the amount of sugar we're intaking, and like complex carbohydrates, or not complex, but processed carbohydrates food. If we can limit that, we can have healthier lives. That's maybe the point that I'm trying to get to, is to cut down the sugar and carbohydrates in our diets.
Andrew Huberman and David Sinclair. So it's on David Sinclair has been on multiple different platforms talking. He's trying to reverse engineer the aging process. And
Mhm.
so he studies a lot about food and food intake and how sugar, in excess calories and eating multiple times a day, how that affects us. And Andrew Huberman is a neurologist out of Stanford, and does a lot of these studies. So David Sinclair went on his podcast, and they were talking about how sugar in specific actually causes you to age faster, and
Wow.
also eating excess multiple calories as well. And so the power is in they transitioned, I'm going to butcher this, of course, but I recommend you go to the Andrew Huberman, look him up on the different platforms and listen to his podcast with David Sinclair, or follow those guys on Twitter. But the less you eat uh, directly equates to living longer, and to the point where, not where you're starving, right, but where, or using intermittent fasting, with which I think a lot of us are a fan of here, in our group, using intermittent fasting so that you're having, one or two meals a day, directly correlates to you living longer. And if you include less sugar with that, that also will extend your life as well. And so, there may be, a lot of, we should all be interested in that if we want to live longer and healthier, in my opinion. I think that's a good thing for all of us to jump on right there. I think the big thing to understand too is, like, so when, we eat sugar, what is it doing to our body? And what, like you were saying, Notice, we didn't have access to this. Sugar cane was a big thing that got spread around everywhere, so we didn't have access to this. So our bodies, the human biology didn't have access to sugar like this for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's only been like the last 100 years, right?
Mm.
Around that, maybe a little longer. And so our bodies really don't know what to do with this excess, and it provides energy. So your blood glucose skyrockets, right? And you have all this excess energy. But if we're consuming this sugar while we're sitting at home, on TV, our body thinks, we that we're okay. We're not active, especially if you're not exercising and you consume this. Your body's like, it's living the high life, right? There's no stress in its life. That's why exercise can be really important, if you do have carbs, or around when you have carbs, because then your body kind of recognizes that sequence. Yeah, I've got this excess energy. Now I can use it for something positive, which would be give you energy for your workout, right? And then you can use that up that energy because it converts so well in your body. But if you don't exercise around that, your body then just converts that back to fat, and that's part of the reason why we gain so much weight now, is because a lot of us don't, in our country, don't exercise enough, and we have this excess sugar. So there's a lot of benefits in eating less sugar, eating less overall, and then eating less meals.
Mm.
Yeah, it's wild. They type 3 diabetes is. Do you know what it is? What they're calling type 3 diabetes now?
No.
They're
What's
calling it
type 3?
Alzheimer. They're calling it Alzheimer's.
Oh,
Alzheimer's is considered to be the type 3 diabetes because sugar.
jeez.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. You guys gotta tune into this Model Health show by Sean Stevens. Let me make sure what it's the Model Health show on Apple Podcast. This guy, episode 553. What would happen to your body if you quit sugar for 30 days? Sean Stevens goes into it pretty deep. Sean Stevenson, I keep butchering his name. Sean Stevenson, The Model Health Show, episode 553. What would happen to your body if you quit sugar for 30 days? And he talks about that, saying that Alzheimer's is linked to being called the type 3 diabetes. And it's all caused by sugar, man. But it's wild. He talks about there's this study that they had rats in one arm they had cocaine in one arm, and in the other arm they had sugar, or what is it? Yeah, they had sugar in the other arm, and 94% of the time the rats went to the sugar. They went to the sugar arm and was consuming it
Wow.
and addicted to it.
Golly.
And he said that they implemented the rats that were already addicted to cocaine from the cocaine arm. They were already addicted, and they introduced them to the sugar arm. And those rats that were addicted to the sugar cocaine, the cocaine arm, they gravitated 94% of the time to the sugar arm. So I'm like, sugar is way more addictive, way more dangerous to our bodies than we can even imagine. It affects our microbiome, our gut microbiome. It affects everything to our bodies. So if we can just limit that, right? Encourage everyone to limit the amount of processed sugars into our bodies with consuming it, we would, for some studies, can heal ourselves. Like our bodies will fix itself if we can just limit those. Because there's foods that out there that are called ultra processed foods. These are foods that are already processed, right? But then you add sugar into it, and they call them ultra processed. So if those, yeah, dude, it's wild, bro. You guys gotta tune into Sean Stevenson's podcast, episode 55, whatever I read. Model Health Show, episode 553. 553. What would happen to your body if you quit sugar for 30 days? It's wild. It's a wild listen. This is less than an hour long. You know, our podcasts are usually longer than that, but have a listen to that, check it out, and then just share it. We follow
You
this.
wonder why.
Yeah.
You wonder why our brains kind of tell our bodies, because sugar tastes so good, right? Like if you think about it in your head right now, you might be
More than
craving
cocaine.
something.
Yeah.
So
And cocaine is addictive, right? But sugar
Right.
trumps that.
Why do you think that is?
The chemistry from the way the sugar is developed or how the sugar is created causes our microbiome, our gut, all these different organisms to be attracted to it more. I don't know what the freaking science is, but that's how it does. That's how it's designed. It's wild.
I have an idea.
Man.
I have an
Go,
idea.
Jake,
I
go.
think maybe so if our brain is still stuck in a couple hundred years ago when it didn't have access to sugar, then you give it access to sugar and our bodies are able to break down. So our brain is just trying to keep us alive, right? So it wants us to breathe, have calories, all that kind of stuff. So if sugar is that much easier for our body to break down into energy, you think the brain is going to push us to the sugar products all the time because it doesn't know. We're like, our brain, just like the animal part of our brain stem, the part that's just trying to keep us alive, right? It's going to constantly try and push us into the most energy efficient product out there, which would be the sugar, right? And corn syrup and all that kind of stuff, because we can convert that to energy. But we're not running for our lives. We're not hunting for the most part, except for Tek right now, getting out there. So we don't need the energy at that level. And so, but our brain again will just continue to essentially lie to us. So I guess going back to what we were talking about earlier, really important to have discipline in our lives, consume less sugar, consume less total meals, maybe adopt some intermittent fasting here or there so that you can reduce the amount of, and again, this will just age us, right? So if we want to live longer and healthier, I would say that it makes sense to reduce sugar products in our lives.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Now the goal is to implement that.
It's tough because it's in everything, though. You know what I'm saying?
Everything. High fructose corn syrup everywhere, bro. I didn't know. The packets that you get from KFC, the honey.
Yeah.
That's not real honey, y'all. That's high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I recently looked at it. We had KFC like 2 days ago, and it's high fructose corn syrup. And just be mindful. I think being, I don't know, exposed. Your level of what's the saying? Your level of exposure will determine your level of success, right? So the more you're exposed to eating healthy, cutting down the sugars, these types of ideas, I think the level of our success and our health will go up.
So the more we support Tek in hunting and getting an elk and deer for us, and then hopefully share it back with us, the longer we'll live.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
The wild to the table.
But then but then it gets deeper. It goes a little bit deeper than it goes about. There's things about your microbiome determines your level of success too, like how healthy you will be and how much of the carbohydrates and sugars your bodies will reject and intake. That's a whole nother story, man. If you guys want to listen about microbiome, that's another episode. But yeah, I agree 100%. We need to get Tech up there in the mountains so you can get that freaking elk, man. That's a journey in itself.
I think if I get an elk, I'm gonna have to switch to a rifle instead of my bow.
Is there such thing that Tech, can you use was it a buckshot? Is there a loader shot type of gun that you can use to hunt to pull a tag?
Talking about muzzle loader?
Muzzle loader, yes. Can you pull a
Yeah,
tag for elk with a muzzle loader?
yeah. You
Is it
can.
what? Yeah.
There's a draw for a muzzle loader,
Is
rifle,
it?
and archery.
Oh, because I heard I just a coworker's husband. She was saying that her husband pulled a muzzle loader and that's how he got his tag. How you won a tag, or is it a lottery or something?
Yeah, it's you gotta put in for
Oh,
it.
when you get the tags. I remember
Yeah,
you talking about that tech.
you gotta put in for it to draw out for the tags. So there's only a certain amount of tags they give you if if you put in for muzzleloader, rifle,
Mm-hmm.
or archery. There's only a certain amount of tags for each hunt. So you just gotta just
You
put
got to
in
put
for
it
it.
on
See
both sides, right? To get
yeah,
at least get a
if
chance at it.
if you want whatever hunt you want, you just put in for it.
Can you put in for all three different types of weapons?
Yeah, you can put in for all three. And hope.
Oh, do you have a
And then
muzzle loader, Tech?
I do not. I don't even have a rifle. I only have a bow. So I bow hunt.
Right on. Yeah, let's whatever we can do to get that elk, man.
You guys need
For
to take a
real.
hunter safety class so we can all go hunting at the same time.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Tech. I got to get my cardio up to be able to chase you around on that mountain because if you it's not easy. I watch some of these guys. There's a couple different shows out there. I watch them do it, and I can only imagine the fitness that some of these guys have. I think Cameron Haynes, for example. This guy, he's got like a 75-pound rock, and then he runs up a mountain with it. He's probably the best.
Jeez.
He's probably the best elk hunter / archer out right now. But just giving you an idea, I have got a lot of work to do to get in shape to be able to help you, not only to like back you up, Tech, but then to help you carry it out once you get one.
Yeah, hiking out there is not that bad. It's
Mm.
hiking back if you get some.
When's the
Then-
next time to input
Just-
or
Because then you're talking about carrying like 500 pounds of meat out.
yeah,
Jeez,
those unfamiliar
that's
with
right.
how big elks are, they're massive beasts, man, massive animals.
Yeah, killing is only half the battle. Getting the meat out
Yeah.
is the other battle. I watched what is it on Netflix? Man vs. Meat,
Mm-hmm.
or one of those shows, dude. It's
Meat
crazy. Them
Eaters?
just you're having to come back twice, sometimes three times for the load, for the kill. You know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
have to do it in a certain amount of time before the meat
goes bad.
spoils or another predator gets to the meat while they're gone. And they're like hiking, like, I want to say no less than a mile out. You know what I mean? It's wild.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
Tech,
One thing I learned about hunting elk, you got to go places where nobody else wants to go. And
geez.
that's usually deep in the mountains.
Yeah, I got to work on my fitness, Tech.
Yeah, I would too, because my breathing would give us away. I'll be up there, and the elk would just hear us instead of smell us and run away.
We'll just have to stagger our team by markers, right? So whoever's the least fit, you stop
I'll be at the
first,
camp. I'll wait for you guys
and
at
then
the camp.
we just have a line where we bring stuff to.
That'd be exciting. Tech, when would be the next time you could there in Utah to put in for some tags and go out?
Right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can put in, I think March 3rd is the last day.
For elk?
for any big game hunt,
Oh wow.
elk, deer,
Mm.
And is
So-
that putting it in for next year?
for this year,
Oh,
Okay.
for this fall.
bro, if you pull an elk tag, I'm there, bro. I'm like dropping all my shifts at work, and I'm coming. For real.
For bow, there's no limit, so you could just buy a bow elk tag over the counter because there's no limit.
Because it's so hard to get one, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's really hard to stock up. How close do you have to be? 60 yards, 50 yards?
Yeah, if you're good, 60 yards, but I'd rather be 40 or
Mm.
less.
How heavy of a draw are you? Like, how heavy is the bow?
My bow's a 70-pound draw.
Oh damn, that's
Oh,
heavy.
wow.
Yeah,
That's heavy, right? That's pro grade type of heavy, right?
I don't know if it's pro. I've seen people pull like 90.
Oof,
That's too heavy for me.
Jeez.
dang, that's crazy. Let's do it,
Oh,
man.
yeah, 40.
Yep, you can do it to whatever you want.
40 probably the difficulty of having 40 is you might, like, if you're going for an elk, which is a giant animal, you would have a hard time killing it with a 40-pound bow.
Yeah,
So
You won't get-
70 it is.
you won't get that punch.
Mm.
Right.
So you shoot the elk, goes in, and then it'll bleed out, or it'll probably run around, right?
Yeah, it'll probably run around. Depends how good of a shot you get.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to follow the trails until you find it.
Sheesh. Amazing. There's something visceral and something unique about doing that, right? There's something that's just authentic, organic about killing your own meat. I always hunting intrigues me, but I've just never had the guts or whereabouts to go and do it. But now that Tech is here and he understands that world, I'll be more safer and I'll be more comfortable going with someone who's knowledgeable like Tech. So let's pull that, throw it in. We'll pitch in and we'll try to get a tag, man. Throw my name in. Do you have to be a resident or a local? Oh,
You
never
got to
mind.
have your hunter safety. I mean, your hunter's permit.
Mm. Man,
So
that
I
would be
said, you guys
exciting.
need to take your hunter safety class so you can get a hunter's permit, and then we can go hunt the world.
Oh, wait. In
Does
an
it matter?
RV.
Does it transfer from state to state, the hunter's permit, or?
I'm not sure about that,
Hmm.
but I
Yeah.
know I know a lot of people last year or a couple years ago. The couple buddies of mine that hunt, they would always
Mhm.
go to Texas because they said that they got a problem with wild boar out there.
Dang. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're right. You're right.
Mhm.
Because, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but there is hogs and boars out here because only reason I know is my bishop.
Mhm.
Shout out Bishop to your partner. But
Shout out, Bishop.
he does vlogs too on YouTube, and he's like talking about it. They just go out in this remote area that's about 40 minutes away, and they just have a heyday. Like
Yeah,
at any given time, there's like 12 to 15 hogs just following each other. So yeah, and they're having a problem with the hogs getting on the ranches and doing all this bad stuff. So it's like free game any time of the year here in Texas, especially in my area. So pretty
Because
wild.
they aren't native to Texas too, right?
Yes.
Tonga?
Yes.
and
Correct.
I don't think there's a limit to how many boars
Nope.
you can get. So that's a Polynesian festival right there.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Crazy.
See, if we had all our hunters permit, we could always go out there and get some wild boar.
What is it? Just an online class, Tech?
Yeah, or at least in Utah, it's an online class. You got to watch like 30-second minute videos and then answer some questions. And then you got to, so you do the online test and then you take that test to, over here, I took it out to a shooting range and then they just see if you can shoot.
Ah,
Like shoot your bow.
Rifle.
Yeah, now that you're talking about that, man, I'm gonna hit up the bishop and see when the next time he goes often, bro.
Mm,
Yeah. Some puaca right there, bro.
For real though.
organic.
Yeah.
I've heard they taste really good too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
Haven't
don't
had
know.
wild boar, but I'm pretty sure it's good. It's wild.
I actually ordered some in from a company. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a company that so you know in the US you can't buy like deer meat in most places or elk meat. You like if you buy it, there has to be a certain mix of beef in it for them to be able to sell it to you. I don't know the reasonings behind that. I think part of it is to keep populations healthy of deer and elk in the United States. And a lot of the money from hunting goes into conservation. So like a lot of the land projects and federal money comes from hunters. In being able to preserve land for for animals to live on. So kind of forgot. Oh yeah, and so so I got to taste some wild boar. It was delicious. It was really good. So I ordered. It was just it was ground boar. So I didn't get to try it like fresh or anything like that. But it actually came in from Texas too. Speaking to what you were just talking about there, Tonga.
It's wild. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like the gaminess of things. I don't know why, because as Tongans we eat horse like all the damn time, but some things are gamier than others.
Like duck.
Like I'm just barely starting to get used to deer. I had some deer. I guess it's the way people prepare it or clean it, right? So
Mm.
How they cook it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll chop down and try anything.
I wouldn't say that. I'm not that type of way. Like raw horse meat is no. I tried that.
Wait, no, no, not raw horse meat. No, no, no,
Oh,
absolutely not.
but that
But
is a
like
delicacy.
Hosians. Oh yeah,
As a delicacy in Japan, only like the wealthy people eat raw horse meat, and
Really?
dip
what?
it they dip it in an egg, bro, a raw egg in Japan, bro. That's like one of the top delicacies you can order at a Japanese restaurant is raw horse dipped in a raw egg, eating it raw straight up
Jeez.
is the
What's the
worst.
texture like?
It
So double
tastes
salmonella.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's not. I mean, like they eat it all the time, so I guess it's safe. But the texture is reminds me of roast beef. Roast beef and bologna mixed together. If you can visualize or
Mm.
conceptualize that, it's like roast beef and bologna. You know the
I
bologna.
love bologna.
So it's like that,
So
super
it's
chewy.
so it's chewy.
Yeah, really chewy, and it tastes like raw meat, like straight up.
Is it about as chewy as octopus?
Nah, it's less chewier, less
Mm.
chewier. But it's yeah, it reminds me. Yeah, it's like that. From my perspective, I know the two other guys that ate it with me, and they ate it fine, but I almost threw up, and those people they were laughing because they thought it was funny. But just to close up this episode, I was gonna just talk about how the importance of good leadership is for us. You guys remember a time that you guys had a good leader? Yeah, you saw someone that was a good example of a leader.
I can't off top.
Yeah, I can't either. I know the qualities of a good leader when I see
Same.
one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
I
mostly just the way they carry themselves, and it's different, when you see a good leader, it's like just the things that they do.
Yeah, their
you guys
actions
remember?
speak.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Notice.
No, I was gonna just read this quote from John Maxwell. He says, "For leadership to be good and lasting, it must be preceded by good living. Good living comes from good values." So, and John Maxwell, if most of you don't know, he's like the guru. He's like the guru, considered guru of leadership. He writes all these different books about leadership and the importance of leadership. And not a lot of people know this about him and his teachings is that he teaches Um, his teachings come from the Bible. He just uh, does it so that the world can understand. So, a lot of people, when he talks about leadership, he's just talking about Jesus. Not a lot of people know that. I got to listen to him speak in Vegas, and he was saying just all his principles that he gathers is all derived from the examples of Jesus Christ. So, and he gets all his teachings from the Bible, and he teaches that way, and it's all about Jesus. All his quotes, if you go back and look at all his teachings of his books that he wrote, it all is like a replication of what Jesus did. And so that's a little pro tip, but he does it in a way so that the non-Christians or the non-Jesus believers will understand. And so when I read this quote, for good leadership to be good and lasting, it must be preceded by good living. Good living comes from good values. And that's a little tidbit I was going to share. But Jake, did you have something to say?
I mean, that's hard to follow up because that's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
You remember Coach posted in our chat. There's a book by Kim Scott called Radical Candor.
Yeah.
And Kim Scott she was like an executive. I think it's a she.
Yeah,
Was an
she's a
executive
she.
in Google, and some of the bigger companies out there, and I think in Apple as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm only
Mhm.
about almost 20% through this book, but one of the things that kind of stuck out to me, great qualities of a leader are a leader is someone that involves you in the process. Of course, they set a good example. But one of the biggest things is, a leader is someone that um, is willing to ask, the people that they're leading, what's room for improving, what am I doing that I could do better, making you feel like you're involved in the process, especially, you gave us the example notice, of Jesus, right? So, and he was a perfect example, but the rest of us aren't perfect. And so we have imperfect leaders. So, keeping the humanity in us, that's something I value, it's in this book quite a bit. And, as you lead other people, I think it's really important to remember, you're not any better than the people that you're leading. You are one of them. And the more that you involve the people that you lead in the decision making processes, and, you empower them to kind of run their own, what their own responsibilities are, the more loyal they're going to be to you, and they're going to turn into leaders as well, and that's going to make you a better leader overall. And so that's kind of that's the message that I've gotten, from that book. Shout out to Coach for recommending it. This is probably the best leadership, other than the example from the Bible that you gave notice. This is the best leadership book I've ever read. I highly recommend it.
Right on. Yeah, it's super. I love the little quotes and stuff the little excerpts you share with us in the chat in our text message group. Super motivational, super enlightening. So it's good to get that, those types of messages throughout the day. So keep that up with us if you would, man. I love learning about that book. I need to get that book too. And there's another
Definitely.
book that Coach was telling us about to read. Was it the Four Agreements?
Four Agreements, yeah.
Be impeccable with your word. What's the next one? Second, you guys remember the number two?
I don't remember it offhand.
What about number three?
I
I know
don't
you
either.
got three down, Tech. Did you? Right? You have three down. I have three down.
No, I
Be,
don't have.
but this is this book, right? Coach was sharing with us. It's called the Four Agreements. And number one, if you can't keep number one, which is what is it?
Be
Jake?
impeccable with your word.
Be
Yeah.
impeccable with your word. You can't keep the other three agreements. That was deep, right? Ooh. So you can't keep number one. You're not going to keep 2, 3, or 4. So be impeccable with your words. Be a good leader, and help and encourage yourself to limit the amount of sugar that you intake and carbohydrates you intake. Throughout this week and the next week. Just something to think about, fellow encouragers. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Does anyone else have anything to say or impart for our listeners?
just shout out to our sponsors. I don't know if you want to lead us through our sponsors, but Tonga, maybe you can give us, you're one of our sponsors as well. So maybe you can kind of give us a little 30-second clip, and then shout out, and then Tech, maybe you can represent OFA.
There you go. Yeah, we appreciate
Yeah,
that. Shout
man.
out to our sponsors.
I would just appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to be on here and be one of the sponsors of the Card House, trading cards and collectibles of Arlington, Texas. If you're ever in the area, come check us out. Check out our podcast too. Make sure you hit that bell so you'll get notified when all of our new episodes drop. And don't hesitate to ask any questions. Reach out to any of us on the Encouragers Instagram as well with any questions you may have with whatever we've got going or anything that you'd like to share of something that you've got going.
Nice. Appreciate that, Card House. Thank you, Tonga. Appreciate you representing and sponsoring our podcast. Next, we have OFA is another main sponsor of our podcast, and Tech is representing OFA tonight.
Yeah. So thanks for this time. So me and Coach, we do this program called OFA, where we train kids in football, and it stands for Offering Football Fundamentals for Athletes, and we do this here in the state of Utah. And what we do is we train the kids, the bigger kids, the big and sexies, the guys in the trenches.
Trenches, baby.
The O-line, D-line, where the game starts and finishes. But, one thing we try to focus on these kids, we just try to get them to be not to train them to become better football players, but to become better citizens and learn how to become leaders in their community to doing stuff like that. And that's what we do here at Alpha.
Nice. Appreciate that, Tech. Thank you, Alpha Academy, Alpha organization for.
Yeah, you can find us. I think our website's at offafootball.org. That's OFFA football.org. And all our social media is Alpha Football. So Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Malo Tech, Malo Tonga, Malo Card House, Texas, the Card House, Texas, and Alpha Football. And then we have hopefully assuming to be partners with shortly, because we drank all of their kava over the weekend in Texas and currently drinking at this moment. Maybe Jake, you could speak on Alpha's kava since you distributed them.
Yeah,
Man,
shout out my guy for Al.
Shout out to Bruce.
Shout out Bruce. There you go.
I'm just gonna throw this up so hopefully you guys can see it. I don't know if it's gonna come up. It looks like it's struggling a little bit. Oh, there we go. That's the spot. That's the spot right there. So he'll ship it pretty much anywhere. I've asked him. He shipped it to Tonga's card shop before with little notice. It's real smooth. You feel good the next day. It's great. Makes it nice and easy. It comes in good packaging. I love it. And in this day and age where a lot of us are, specifically me, I'm not near any houses where I can buy kava. It's definitely a blessing to be able to get it shipped out to me. So shout out to Bruce and Offa's Kava. Much appreciated.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Offa's Kava and Bruce. This has been episode 32. Love having you guys on. Thank you guys for being here, listening to another episode. This is episode 32. And does anyone else have anything to say or share that we might have missed?
One last
Super Bowl.
One last thing.
Sunday.
Oh, Super Bowl,
right.
And then we got to point people to our YouTube channel as well.
Oh yeah, let's go. Super Bowl predictions. I'll go first. The Chiefs are gonna win. The Chiefs. I'm going Chiefs. Go Chiefs. I'm rooting for the Chiefs. Tech, what's your prediction? Or what's the score? What do you think the score is going to be, too?
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to take it. It'll be a close game. I'm saying 28-17 Rams.
28-17 Rams? Okay. What about you, Tonga? Who you got?
It's a blowout. NFC West takes it, Rams.
Rams. Ooh.
Defenses win championship games. I love Burrow, but his O-line cannot protect him.
Yeah.
24-3.
24-3.
Run away with it.
24-3 is your score.
24-3.
Wow. And Jake, what is your position?
Man, I got the Bengals 31-27. I think explosive offense. It's going to be battle defenses for sure, but they're going to be in a dome, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be a fast game. I think, offense ends up winning it 31-27 Bengals.
Right on. And in my prediction, I'm going to go with the Rams too. Defense wins championships. Love Joe Burrow. I would love for his cars to go up. I don't own any of them, but Jake does. But hopefully for Jake, it goes up. And then, yeah.
You got to remember, they're at home too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's going to be
it's wild. They're in their home stadium. It's wild.
It's kind of like a Tampa Bay TB12 type thing, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's our predictions.
Yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Good luck with the Super Bowl, everybody, and their predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few of us will be betting on the game very heavily, and I will be betting on the game very heavily as well.
Go Rams. Well, and then Jake, go ahead and hit us with our YouTube account.
All right. Give me 1 second.
Well, actually, the reason why we're trying to go to 100 subscribers, first off, is so that we can have our own like domain name, like youtube.com/the Encouragers podcast or something like this. That's why we need 100 subscribers, so we can have our own URL, a unique URL.
Easier to find us, guys.
Yeah. So please, we just try to get 100 on our quest for 1,000. And at 1,000, I do have a special graded card that we'll throw in the mix for the 1,000th subscriber.
I'll match that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is live. So Tonga will match
No,
that.
let's do this. You know what?
Yeah.
$300 or less hobby box from the shop.
Ooh.
Credit.
Ooh.
There it is.
Holy cow. This was
I'll
just
make a graphic for it and I'll toss it up on our Encouragers IG.
So we didn't discuss this before. This is live.
Nope,
We're learning this
live
information right now. So
breaking news.
That's what's up, Tonga. Malo, man. So one PSA card, graded card from me, plus whatever Tonga just said. I just blew my mind.
$300 towards the purchase of any hobby box. If it's a $150 hobby box, that's 2 boxes. Let's get it.
I'll throw in a PSA 10 card as well.
Ooh,
attaboy.
What? Oh my! For our 1,000th, this is for our 1,000th subscriber. Y'all, this is major. Holy cow, man! Malo guys, Malo the card shop, Malo Tonga, Malo Tech, man. That is huge. So 1,000 subscribers. Let's get to 100 first, and then let's go to
Well, should we do something for the 100?
To the moon, baby.
To the moon.
Right. And
just like Burrow right now.
Go to our YouTube channel, type in the you got to type in the Encouragers podcast, because just the Encouragers, there's going to be a lot of other stuff out there. So go to the Encouragers podcast, subscribe. If you like our content, please give us some likes. We just want to improve our show and be able to do this more, and that's going to help us get there.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jake.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Encouragers this week. We hope you have a good one. Till next week.